Hello and welcome to Spread Bookjoy. Today I'm doing the It's All Relative tag. If you're new to the channel, I'm Jack, and if you're not new, welcome back to Spread Bookjoy. And today I'm doing an original tag by AJ Dunn over at AJ Dunn Reads and Writes. They have a wonderful channel. I urge you to go and check it out. They have the most wonderful recommendations for books, which I absolutely love. I'm reading one today, Where the Red Fern Grows, actually doing it, and that also could have been an answer to several of these prompts actually, but I won't talk about it yet because I've not quite finished. But I was tagged by the gorgeous Emily over at Novelle Novels. If you've not seen Emily's channel before, she is absolutely so lovely, warm and welcoming, and I always feel like I'm having a cozy chat when I watch one of her videos, so I really appreciate the tag, Emily. Thank you for it. I don't appreciate the fact though that these prompts were so good. I've torn my house apart and I've got millions of books here and they all could fit several of the prompts, so this might be a hot mess, but we'll get into it. Prompt 1, Mamma Mia, a book where the mother plays a pivotal role. Now, I could have picked a lot of these books and I'll probably mention the mothers in the books that I'm mentioning for other categories, but one where the mother plays a pivotal role that I can't really talk about without spoiling the book, but it has to be Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. This is a tale of a very lonely, damaged woman who she's very socially awkward. She doesn't have a lot of friends. She's very direct. She speaks her mind. She's got a lot of opinions about the way things are done and the way they should be done. This one, the mother plays a definite pivotal role. Papa Don't Preach, a novel with a dad you like or despise. I'm going to have to go with this. I've got a lot of novels with mums and dads in that I could have picked, but I'm going to go with Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird and Atticus Finch. This is one of the best books I've ever read in my life. I've read it several times since I was younger, and every time I read it I'm blown away by it. And it doesn't need really any introduction. It's To Kill a Mockingbird, one of the best novels ever written. Atticus Finch, who is the father in the book, who has the immortal line, you know, you shoot all the jaybirds you want, but it's a sin to kill a mockingbird. That is where the title comes from, and he tells his children that. He is wise, he is not dominating, but he's a dominant figure in their lives. He's influential. He gets his children to think critically. He's always, you know, when they have ideas about things, he talks to his children. He's educating his children, and for, you know, as a parenting style of the time that this book is supposed to be set and the time it was written, it's just super admirable. You know, I just he's a brilliant character. I love Atticus. I really didn't like when they released Go Set a Watchman, which is clearly some sort of earlier book by Harper Lee, which features Atticus and an older scout, where she's travelled back to home and her dad Atticus has become quite bigoted. That really broke my heart. And I think that was the original novel she wanted to explore, and within that story she talks about her dad defending a black man accused of rape of a white woman, and someone at the publishers went, that's the story you should write, and so this is it. And I feel like Go Set a Watchman was an early draft of a novel where the germ of this is, and it should never have been published, in my opinion. Or I don't feel it should have been. She didn't want to publish it. She didn't publish it while she was alive, so I felt like it was just cashing in, and it really upset me the way that Atticus, the character of Atticus, is explored in that book. This is the Atticus that I love and know. Honourable mention goes to Dr. Ioannis in Captain Corelli's Mandolin, who is the father of the girl Pelagia, who is the love interest for Captain Corelli. And he, again, is another of those educated fathers who he takes an interest in his child's education and their development as a person, and is not just there as someone who is like an authoritarian figure in their lives. And an honourable mention goes to that character. Another honourable mention just has to go to Uncle Quentin in The Famous Five as a character, a dad that I kind of despise a little bit. He's so mean and he's so bad-tempered because he's a scientist, and they always have to be quiet around Uncle Quentin, and he's really bad-tempered and he frightens the children. So yeah, there's another honourable mention. Brothers and Sisters features an interesting sibling relationship. I'm just going to mention one series, and I love this series, and it is the Michelle Harrison Pinch of Magic series. It's a trilogy currently, but there is a fourth book coming out. It is one of the best middle grade series I've read in a long time. It's just the gorgeous covers designed by Melissa Castrillon, which I absolutely love, and each book has been fantastic. These are books that I'd recommend for children, but are also middle grade books that I'd recommend to any adult. I just think they're wonderful. If you like fairy tales, it features 3 sisters, the Widdowson sisters, and their adventures in all sorts of different situations. In the first book, there's a family curse. In the second book, there's a ghost ship. In the third book, there is a witchy village. I just love these books. They're fantastic. They're really well written. Michelle Harrison is an excellent writer for children, and I can't recommend these highly enough. Prompt number 4, It's Been 84 Years, a multi-generational book. Again, I could have put tons. I love a multi-generational book. I love the story of a family told through generations. I love a story of, over time, and you see the effects of previous generations' lives on the effects of the lives of the present day generation. I love it. I'm going to have to go with The Kitchen God's Wife by Amy Tan. Like I said, I could have gone with many of these books. In fact, I'm going to do some honourable mentions, but I'm going to go with The Kitchen God's Wife by Amy Tan. I love Amy Tan's books. I haven't read enough of them in recent years, and I used to reread them a lot, but I fell in love with her work in my 20s. The Joy Luck Club is probably her most famous story, but The Kitchen God's Wife is my favourite. And The Kitchen God's Wife is a tale of a family across generations, from 1920s Shanghai through to the Second World War, through to America, and a woman called Pearl Louis, who has a secret that she's trying to keep from her mother, and her mother actually has her own secrets which go all the way back to China and when she was younger. And yeah, I love this book. I want to reread it now that I've talked about it, actually. If you like that kind of story, I'd highly recommend it. Amy Tan's writing is wonderful, and it's a really fascinating, I love a story of someone's life when they've been through things and through hardships, and yeah, this is wonderful. I won't go into the honourable mentions actually, because this video is going to be rather long if I keep doing that, but I will do it for some of them. But on to the next question. You Complete Me features an interesting marriage. I was going to go with, I recently finished The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. That features several interesting marriages, but I'm going to go with one of my favourites of all time, which is I, Claudius, and Claudius the God, featuring the marriage of Livia and Augustus Caesar. So Livia and Augustus were a power couple, but Livia's influence over him and the things that she did, and the political intrigue, I just absolutely, she's a fascinating character, and she could have gone on for, a mother who's pivotal to a story. She's also a real person. She was an historical figure, but I, Claudius is the fictionalized account of the life of Claudius, who was I think he was the last Nero was the last Julian emperor. But he talks about his life and his family, and he goes right back to his is his step-grandfather, Augustus. He talks about the rule of Tiberius. If you know anything about Roman history, this was a really scandalous and intriguing time, and this is actually a classic now, really, because it was written in the 1920s, I think, or 30s. So yeah, I, Claudius and Claudius the God by Robert Graves. Really interesting marriage. I love this next prompt because it's a nod to the Golden Girls, which I love, and I'm watching on Disney Plus at the moment. Picture it, Sicily, a novel with an interesting elderly character. There are lots I could have gone with for this as well. I love books with interesting elderly characters, so I'm going to talk about my favourite elderly character in any book, and that is, I'm going back to Terry Pratchett, Granny Weatherwax, who is possibly my favourite character from Terry Pratchett's Discworld of all time, and she is definitely an interesting elderly character alongside Nanny Ogg, who 2 of them make up the Lancre Coven of Witches. Granny she's smart, she's cantankerous, she has never beaten in any of the books that I've read so far. I've yet to read the final Discworld book, and she features in it, and I know I'm going to cry because I've heard certain things about it. But yeah, fantastic character. And Nanny Ogg is bawdy, and she's like the softer side, but she's still as hard as Granny, and between them they manage to overcome so many different challenges, elves and evil other, witches who are supposed to be good fairy godmothers but turn out to be actually the bad ones, all sorts of things. So yeah, absolutely love Granny from the Discworld. But I have to mention A Man Called Uva. A Man Called Uva, which I haven't watched the film, I've only ever read the book, and I only read it once, and I have to reread it, by Frederick Backman. Fantastic book, a really curmudgeonly older man who a family moves in next door to, and I'm not going to say any more, I don't want to spoil it. If you've never read A Man Called Uva, it's an amazing book, and it will make you cry. Also, I know a lot of people didn't like it, but I absolutely loved Richard Osman's The Thursday Murder Club. I really love books with older protagonists. You don't get a huge amount of them, and I really enjoy them. And this, I really laughed out loud at it. I loved it. So it's set in an old people's community in England, a sheltered community, and their Thursday Murder Club are 4 people who get together to discuss cold cases and crack the murders, and it's a crime book. And I'm really looking forward to reading the next adventure of this group of sort of elderly detectives. I just really enjoyed it. So I know a lot of people didn't, but I did. Friends with Benefits features a found family or friends as family. Now, I struggled with this one. There are some books I could mention, but I'm not going to because reasons, but I am going to mention a series. And there are books because there are graphic novels. These are original graphic novels as well, but my favourite found family of all time, and I absolutely love, is the family in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I'm a huge fan of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I don't like to deal in absolutes and say I've got a favourite book or a favourite this or a favourite that, but I do have a favourite TV show of all time, and it is this. It is hands down the best TV show of all time for me. I love it. I rewatch it every couple of years. I give myself usually 2 years in between watchings. Last time I watched it was 2020 because it was an apocalypse, it felt like, so I thought I'd watch Buffy. But and these are original. These are season 8. So Buffy had 7 seasons, and throughout the whole 7 seasons of Buffy and her friends, they are a found family, and her watcher Giles is like a father figure to her, and by the end of it they're living in the same house, a lot of them, and they're a family. Her own dad abandoned her, and so her mum, spoiler alert, her mum isn't around in later episodes, but yeah, in season 8 there was never a season 8 until Dark Horse Comics decided to commission, and written by Joss Whedon, part of it anyway, season 8 of Buffy in graphic novel form. So I've got quite a few of the volumes. I've actually got 2 massive volumes of season 8 in really big hardbacks, and they're beautiful. I mean, the artwork's stunning in these. So that's my found family, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I'm just a huge fan. In fact, recently I've just discovered they've started doing another new series. They've taken Buffy back to Sunnydale High, and there's another new series out which I've just been reading recently. Yeah, so if we check it out, look, there she is in all her glory. Just love Buffy. 8, I Think We're Alone Now, features a character who is lost, abandoned or orphaned. Could have had so many, especially from children's literature. So many orphans. But I am going to go with a children's book. 2 actually. I'm going to go with Midnight Guardians, and I have to say this because I read this last year. And Christmas is coming up. If you want a good Christmas middle grade, this is Christmas. This is World War II. This is Imaginary Friends. This is one of the best middle grade books I've read in a long time. I just loved it. It made my heart so happy. It's all based around this boy Cole, who, it's 1941 and it's Christmas, and his sister is in London, and he's gone to stay with his aunt and uncle after, I think, they've lost their parents in the Blitz, and he's gone to live in the countryside with his aunt, not an aunt and uncle, his aunt, and something terrible is going to happen. His imaginary friends come back to life, and seem to be real, and they warn him about something going to happen in London. His sister is still in London. She's older, and she's working as a fire messenger. You know, the messengers who used to take messages in the Blitz on bikes between sites and stuff. And so he's going to rescue her, and it's their adventure across country to try and get to London in time to save her. And it's just everything. There's English folklore in it. There are real articles from the Second World War scattered throughout, and this is, honestly, Emily, if you're watching this, if you've not read this, I loved it. I absolutely loved this book. Honourable mention has to go to Anne of Green Gables, one of my favourite books of all time and one that I loved since I was a child. This could have been fitted in for so many of them though, because Marilla and Matthew Cuthbert, parents, amazing parents that they are, sibling relationship, brother and sister, so found family, orphan, anything. This could have fit into so many categories, so yes, I have to give it an honourable mention. And the final prompt, 9, fur baby, features an animal as part of the family or plays an important role in the family. And I'm going to have to go with my recent read, The Art of Racing in the Rain by Garth Stein. Amazing book. I just loved it. I've gone on a real tip of reading books with dogs in it this year. Art of Racing in the Rain features a character, a dog called Enzo, who's narrating the story, and he's just a beautiful soul, and the story is wonderful, and he supports the family through a very hard time. Very good book. The other honourable mention though is for a book I read last year. It's a middle grade. It's called I, Cosmo by Carly Soroziak, and again another gorgeous dog protagonist narrating the story, and Cosmo is a character I just fell in love with. Absolutely love this story, and he's supporting a family through a hard time, and he's just it's just their hearts, aren't they? Dogs, they're just beautiful souls. So yeah, I absolutely love this, and yeah, that's the last prompt. I can't completely finish though without mentioning Pride and Prejudice, one of my favourite books. In my top, if I have to have a top 3 books, this will be up there. I can never say a book is my absolute favourite though, because I've just got so many. It's like, you know, saying you've got a favourite child, I imagine, if you're a parent. I think that this could have fit into so many prompts, particularly to do with the pivotal mother figure and the father figure and the interesting marriage, because I think the Bennet's marriage, Mr. and Mrs. Bennet, and the relationships between the sisters could have gone in here as well, could have gone for that prompt. But yeah, and I can't not mention it, even though I didn't pick it for any of the categories. I could have picked it for several. That was a fun tag. My house is a mess because I've got loads of books I pulled out and I haven't mentioned. That was a real thinker. Thank you, AJ Dunn, for putting it together. That was a good tag, and thank you, Emily, for tagging me. I'm not going to tag anyone in it because I'm not sure who has or hasn't done this tag, and but if you do, tag, you're it. If you like it, do it. If you're new to this channel and you would like to subscribe, consider it. Consider subscribing, consider coming back for more of my rambling nonsense, and hopefully I will see you again here soon. Bye.